Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we'll be making a basic top with an asymmetric neckline, so let's get started. So let's get into creating the pattern for this top. I already have my tools ready and I'll be starting by coming down from the top of my pattern paper by 1 inch. I'm going to mark that point across and score it out with my ruler, and that line will become my shoulder line. From there I'll be marking the next point, which is my shoulder to bust measurements at 11 inches. I'll mark that across as well and score it out with my ruler, and that will be my bust line. Then you can go ahead and mark your shoulder to waist measurement. I forgot to do that here, but I did later. And after that, you can then mark the full length of your top. You can work between 21 to 24 inches. It's all up to you. For me, I'll be going for a full length of 22 inches plus 1 inch for hemming allowance, making it 23 inches. So I'll just go on to mark that point across, square it out with my ruler, and that will be the full length of my top. Now this end right here will serve as the center front and center back for the top, and it will be cut on a fold. So now I'll be going back to the shoulder line, and I'm going to be marking my across shoulder measurement divided by 2, which is 8 inches. So I'll be coming in from the center front by 8 inches, and from that point I'm going to decide how long I want my sleeve to be. And I decided to go with a sleeve length of 7 inches. Of course you can go lower than this. This is just a personal preference. So from the 8-inch mark, I went on to mark 7 inches. And from there, I'll be going down by 2 inches. So I'm going to mark in 2 inches downwards from that point. Then I'll go in with my ruler and connect that point to meet the 8-inch mark. And that will be the shoulder slope for this top. Now, after creating the shoulder slope, the next thing to do is to mark the sleeve opening. And for my sleeve opening, I'll be going with 8 inches. So from the end of that slope, I'm coming down by 8 inches. And I'll be connecting that point upwards to meet the shoulder slope. So right now, I'm just making sure it's straight before bringing in my ruler and connecting the 2 points together in a straight line. Now, the next thing to do is to connect the sleeve opening to the bust line. So first, I'm going to be marking a quarter of my bust circumference on the bust line. So I just came in from the center front by 11 inches, which is a quarter of my bust circumference plus 1 inch for allowance. And after that, I'll just bring in my pattern master and connect the sleeve opening to the point I marked on the bust line. So it was at this point I realized I forgot to mark my waistline, so I'm just going in to mark my shoulder to waist measurement at 16 inches. I'll go ahead to mark that point across, then square it out with my ruler. And now I'll go on to mark a quarter of my waist circumference on the waistline. And just like I did on the bust line, I'll be adding 1 inch allowance, half an inch for ease, and half an inch for stitching. And finally, I'm marking a quarter of my hip circumference on the last line plus 1 inch allowance. So now that I'm done marking these 3 points, I'll go on to connect them together. So I'll begin by connecting the bust line to the waistline, then I'll connect the waistline to the full length of the top and extend that all the way to the hemming allowance. Now before cutting, I'll go on to add half an inch allowance along the neckline, the shoulder slope and the sleeve. After marking out my allowance, I'll go in with my ruler and connect all the points together. Then I'll bring in my scissors and cut following the lines. So this will be the only pattern I'll be creating for this top. This will be used to cut out the front and the back. So now it's time to use the pattern and cut onto fabric. So I'll be upcycling this old skirt that I have to create the top. It's super stretchy on all sides, which is perfect for this style. So I went ahead to cut out my top using the pattern that I created, and this is for the front. So this is the front piece and I cut it on a fold. Now I was supposed to cut the back piece on a fold as well, but the back of the skirt already had an opening. So I ended up cutting out 2 pieces for the back and adding half an inch along the center back for joining. But you don't have to do this, just go ahead and cut the back pattern on a fold like you did for the front. So now that I'm done cutting, it's time to start stitching, and the stitching process is quite simple. First, I'm going to stitch the center back closed using a half-inch sewing allowance so that I have 1 piece. Then I'm going to finish off the neckline of the front and back pieces by making a double fold towards the wrong side of the fabric. I'll be doing this for the front and back piece as well. So guys, I've done that. I've stitched the center back closed. I also finished off the necklines of the front and back pieces, and then I joined the back piece to the front by stitching them together along the shoulder line, right sides facing each other. So this is how it looks on the right side. Now I'm going to finish off the sleeve by making a double fold at the end and stitching, and I'll do the same to the other side as well. And when I'm done with that, I'll also be stitching down the sides using a 1/2 inch sewing allowance. After that, I'll go ahead and hem the end of the top by making a double fold towards the wrong side, and I'm going to stitch all around the hem. I'll do this off camera and then bring it back to show you how it looks. So here we go, I'm done stitching the top. I've sewn down the sides and hemmed the top as well. This is what it looks like. Now you can stop here if you want, but I decided to add elastic to one side of the shoulder slope and one side of the top, just because it was looking too simple and I wanted to give it something extra. Now the measurements for the elastic, I'll simply be cutting it 2 inches shorter than the measurement I have for the shoulder slope and for the side. So I'm gonna head to cut out my elastic. I cut out 2 separate pieces. One is for the shoulder slope, and I'm just going to stitch this on the same allowance I have here, dragging it as I go. I'll be doing the same for the side as well. I'll place the elastic on the seam allowance and I'm going to stitch on the elastic and keep pulling it as I go. And because I'm going to be pulling on the elastic, it will create a ruched effect on the side and along the shoulder slope. And guys, here's what we have. This is the finished look. I've gone ahead to sew the elastic along the shoulder slope and the side, and you can see that ruched effect. And here's how it looks on me. It's a very simple and basic top, and I plan to just run errands with this. Like I said, this was upcycled using an old skirt, but I think I may make this again using a much nicer fabric. But yeah, that's it guys. We've come to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.